Hello everyone, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over how to know when to change out a thumbnail or split test a thumbnail using TubeBuddy. So split testing has definitely led to a lot of positive benefits, and it's a nice automated thing to set up where once you set up a split test on TubeBuddy, it waits until statistically significance is reached, and then it actually chooses the better performing thumbnail. If you haven't signed up for TubeBuddy just yet, you can actually use my link down below in order to get a discount. And in order to actually do this, you don't have to use TubeBuddy. You can use other split test programs out there, but I personally prefer TubeBuddy though. But let's go ahead and get started. So knowing when to split test, okay? There's two different ways I approach this as far as split testing my own videos goes. The first one I'm going to go over is this one here. And then the second one I'm going to go over is something called a risk to reward ratio. All right. So first we'll go over the first concept. And so I just have some criteria here. So the first criteria that you see here is if your video is not in the algorithm, meaning that it's not getting any views, it's not in browse traffic, it's not in suggested traffic, it's not in search traffic. If it's not in the algorithm at all, you can consider split testing both the thumbnail and the title, okay? So you can give this video a complete revamp and split test both the thumbnail and title. Now, if the video is in the algorithm but less than a 7% CTR, I normally only split test the thumbnail. If the video is in the algorithm but greater than a 7% CTR, I usually leave it be. And so those are like the three main categories that videos usually fall under. The question that you always have to ask yourself though is, if you decide to split test a thumbnail, you do have to like logically look at the new thumbnail and then ask yourself, is this actually a better thumbnail? Because split testing a thumbnail, my wordage of this is that split testing a thumbnail on a video doesn't directly affect the video. It affects the CTR, which then affects the video. So you have to be careful and also actually think about, is the new thumbnail that I'm putting in, am I actually able to beat a 7% CTR, or am I actually able to beat a 5% CTR? Don't just change out a thumbnail just for the sake of changing out a thumbnail. That's like it's more of a self question that I'm reminding you to think of when it comes to actually split testing your thumbnails. So other things to think about include, if I'm starting a brand new channel, I usually don't split test the videos until something actually sticks. And what I mean by something actually sticks is that if a video actually reaches the algorithm. Once a video gains traction and / I know what my audience wants to watch, I'm more particular about starting split tests on my videos, just because it becomes like a known thing that once a video works on your channel and you post another video very similar to that video, it almost works like magic. Like it's like your channel is known for that video. Now, normally I only ever split test thumbnails, right? And so when it comes to split testing, this is the criteria that I tend to follow. If you also have to consider the fact that if you post a video, sometimes it's also YouTube's fault that your video doesn't perform well. So it's going to take time, right? Takes time to recommend that's your video to the correct audience. Sometimes it's YouTube's fault that when you post a video, it doesn't work, okay? You just have to give YouTube time to actually recommend your video to the right audience. And I've had this work many times before where a video will go viral like 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, even like 2 years down the road. So you do have to think about that as well, which is why you should try your best to analyze other channels who are within your niche and let your videos sit with what you think is the best possible thumbnail and title, so that later down the road it'll possibly get picked up and then suggested to or get pushed into the YouTube algorithm. So you always have to keep in this mind also though, that sometimes it's YouTube's fault. Sometimes it's not always your fault as far as having a bad title and thumbnail goes. YouTube just needs to recommend your video to the correct audience. Now, moving on from that, okay, this is the criteria that I tend to follow when it comes to starting split tests. In order to actually start a split test, what that's going to look like is On TubeBuddy, there's a split test feature. So when you log into TubeBuddy and then access the account that has a split test active on it, you want to click on this drop down menu that says A/B split test, and then click on create A/B split test. And then you want to choose the video that you want to create a variant thumbnail for. So let's choose this one. And then I normally only select thumbnail CTR. And then I select run until click-through rate is statistically significant. So if you do this one here and then click on continue, you just upload your new thumbnail and then start the test. What I like about TubeBuddy is that they actually cycle between the original thumbnail and the test thumbnail every 24 hours starting at midnight. So it's a nice reasonable test to actually see which thumbnail performs better. So using split tests, it's like giving your video 2 chances at working, which I really like. And now moving on to the second way I actually determine whether a split test is needed is something I like to call the risk to reward ratio, okay? So the risk to reward ratio simply just means actually analyzing your data. So this is one of my YouTube videos on one of my film channels where on the past 7 days, it's averaged a 5.4% click-through rate. The average CTR on YouTube is about 3 to 7%. When I'm looking at this video, I'm actually asking myself, do I want to create a thumbnail better than this video here and actually risk the $2 or $5 a day that it's making? So this is like the risk to reward ratio that I'm talking about. I know $2 to $5 isn't a lot, so that's why I should actually risk creating a new thumbnail for this video. So the risk to reward kind of concept here applies mostly when your videos are already generating ad revenue. I like to look at it from an ad revenue perspective usually in most cases. So let's say that your video isn't monetized yet. What are you actually risking? In this case, I would normally actually look at the views in the past 7 days, and you can see that I'm getting around 300 to about 570 views. So the question I would ask myself here is, am I willing to risk 300 to 570 views in order to get a better CTR? And then I'm also tying that to the fact of, can I actually create a better thumbnail that can beat a 5.4% CTR? So that's the risk to reward ratio concept when it comes to starting split tests on your videos. The risk to reward concept is something that I teach in our community where I usually have them go in revenue and see how much money the video is generating. And is it worth, like, pretend that I change out the thumbnail and it goes down lower and therefore I make less money? Am I willing to risk the $2 to $5 that this video is making in order to try and get a better CTR? So in this case, I would be, but that's the risk to reward ratio concept when it comes to starting split tests. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. And if you're interested in our free training, do check it out in the link down below, which includes my mentorship. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Take care.